So the Raiders end up doing something that they haven't done all season long, and that's winning 2 games in a row. Now, why do the Raiders end up doing that at the end of the season? I don't know, but at the end of the day, the Raiders just won, baby. We beat the New Orleans Saints 25-10, and the Raiders are now sitting at 4-2, the number 8 spot in the NFL draft as of right now. Now, I know a lot of Raider fans might be mad at this win. I mean, some fans might be, some other fans might not be. I feel like for me, I've been flip-flopping all season long. Like, I've been wanting to win, and then I've been wanting to tank, and then now, since the Raiders want to start winning out of nowhere, it's like, fuck it, might as well win the rest of the season. I mean, we only got one more game to finish off the season against the LA Chargers, and if there's anybody that I wanted to beat this season outside of the Chiefs, it's definitely the LA Chargers. So if they want to go out and win next week, they better go and win out next week. I know a lot of Raider fans might be coming out to the game at Allegiant Stadium for the last game of the season. I know for a fact everybody's going to be planning to come together one last time to sing Kumbaya to this 2024 season. But before I go on talking about all of that, the Raiders, like I said, put up a solid showing against the New Orleans Saints. Now, this is coming after the Raiders actually had a delayed flight the night prior. So they showed up to New Orleans a little bit later. They barely got any rest, and they still went out there and put up a great game and had me thinking like, yo, I feel like the Raiders should possibly, who knows, delay more games going to the East Coast, because if we can play like this, we might as well do it more oftenly, right? I mean, all jokes aside, though, the Raiders, like I said, put together a full game against the New Orleans Saints. The defense played well. The offense was solid. The run game was solid. The receiving game was solid. Shout out to AOC, put together a solid game as well to go on and win their second game in the row. Aiden O'Connell was 20 for 35, 242 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Amir Abdullah showed out in this game as well. He balled out, had 20 carries for 115 yards, and then 3 receptions for 32 yards. Now, the New Orleans Saints did not have Derek Carr in this game, and I know a lot of Raider Nation wanted to see that battle with Derek Carr versus his former team, and if he was to lose this game, he would have lost to every team in the NFL, and I feel like that was probably one main reason why Derek Carr did not want that smoke. Okay, I'm just joking with you guys, Raider Nation. I know that there's still a lot of Derek Carr lovers on the team right now, but one player that definitely needs to be highlighted in this game is definitely our first-round pick in this year's draft, Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers has been tearing up the league by storm, has been breaking many records, and in this game, Brock Bowers broke the most receiving yards by a rookie tight end, beating Mike Ditka, now sitting at 1,105 yards, and also now has the most receptions for a rookie receiver, beating Puka Nacua. Brock Bowers right now has put himself in that Offensive Rookie of the Year race. I feel like, if anything, unbiasedly, Brock Bowers should be the Rookie of the Year offensively. Now, I know that he might not get the award because of the Raiders' record, but nonetheless, the Raiders, I feel like, made the right decision by getting Brock Bowers. I stated this before, and I'm going to say it again. I was not a big advocate for Brock Bowers at the beginning of the season when we drafted him. I felt like there was other pieces that we needed, but the fact that Tom Telesco went out and got the best player available, somebody that could be over here, that could be a corner piece, a cornerstone for this team moving forward for years to come, I feel like he was the right decision. Then you add on a guy that we got in the second round with JPJ, just adds on to how great this draft has been so far. Then obviously adding DJ Glaze is another solid piece as well. But I know obviously I'm not the only person praising Brock Bowers. There's a lot of people talking about him, one guy being our head coach, Antonio Pierce.
Yeah, no, listen, he's like I said from day one, he was special when he walked in the door, and he was special again today. Doesn't want no attention. The team tried to grab him at the very end, and he want to break down the team in a team huddle. But all he cares about is winning and smiling. I mean, he can break records, but just watch him at the victories. That's the true Brock Bowers, because he's a competitor. He's a true pro. And like I said, I mean, it's scary how good this kid could be.
And I agree with AP 100%. Now, you look at Brock Bowers' whole rookie season, it's crazy how great of a tight end that he already is in his first season. Bowers right now has the most receptions by a rookie tight end ever, has the most receptions by a rookie at any position ever, most receiving yards by a rookie tight end ever, most catches by a Raiders player in a season ever, 5th most season catches by a tight end in any year of their career ever. Only 8 shy of tying the record. The Raiders only have one more game on the schedule. We have the LA Chargers coming into town. I know the Chargers have punched their ticket into the playoffs already, and the Raiders right now isn't fighting for anything more than just pride at this point. And going into that game, I feel like a lot of people's jobs are going to be on the line, one player being Aiden O'Connell. I feel like how he's been playing these past couple of games, these past couple of weeks, he has proven that he can be at least a starting bridge quarterback for a team. And I feel like the Raiders could be that team for him moving forward, especially with the Raiders winning these past couple of games and moving down the draft board. The quarterback position most likely might not be addressed in the first round of the draft, which I know a lot of people might be mad about that. I was kind of frustrated about that at the beginning, but looking at it right now, I feel like the Raiders are going to go out and get the best player available, leaving the Raiders to draft a quarterback maybe in the second, third, fourth round. And who knows whether or not Jalen Moreau, another guy that's been highly hyped up, and one guy that I really, really like in this draft, if he was to come into the draft, there's rumors about him going back and staying in college. So that leaves the Raiders with not a lot of options. So whoever we do bring in, we don't expect them to come in and play right away. AOC could be a guy that could be that bridge quarterback for a young quarterback to kind of learn until it's their time. I feel like if AOC can go out against the Chargers in this last week and he goes up and puts up some great numbers, looks comfortable in the pocket, and just plays with that poise, there's definitely going to be some debate about him being the starting quarterback if the Raiders don't address the quarterback early on in this upcoming draft. Now, some other players that could be on the radar right now, one guy being Kayvon Chason. He's been a guy that we signed on early on in the season, didn't really expect too much out of him, but the way he's been playing these past couple of games, going into this last game, he most likely earned a contract with the team. And I feel like he kind of tacked on what Malcolm Koonce did last season going into this year. Malcolm Koonce is going into free agency this upcoming year. Who knows if the Raiders are going to bring him back? But if Kayvon Chason can go out there and prove his point, who knows if he punched a spot on this roster for the offseason. Now, the last person to talk about in this game is going to be Antonio Pierce and his future. There's been a lot of questions on whether or not Antonio Pierce will return to the Raiders as the head coach next season. And there's a lot of things going around that are not in his favor. And I don't feel like whether he goes out and wins or loses this game, it's going to change anything moving forward. But Antonio Pierce, I feel like his time is coming to an end. And Mike Vrabel, I talked about it in my last video, is a name that's going to be brought up these next couple of weeks on if the Raiders end up moving on from Antonio Pierce. Now, I know that winning this game for a lot of fans, it's kind of questionable because there's really no reason for the Raiders to win these last couple of games, especially if we're going to move down the draft board and knowing that quarterback is the number one position for the Raiders. Was this smart for the Raiders to go out and win these games? To me, I honestly don't know. Now, I was really head over heels on getting the top pick just a couple of weeks ago just to get Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward. And just looking at the bowl games, Shedeur Sanders, there's a lot of question marks there, and I understand that there was question marks, going into the offseason. But seeing how he played against BYU had me question a lot of things. And there was some traits there that I really didn't like seeing, and who knows if he cleans that up in the NFL. Would I still want him on the team? Yes. But is there questions there? Is there some daunting red flags? Of course. I could say the same thing about Cam Ward. Now, I feel like Cam Ward has kind of risen up my draft stock right now after seeing how he played against Iowa State. Now, I don't agree with him kind of sitting out the rest of the game, but what we've seen in the first half of that game, how nonchalant he was, how chill he was in the pocket, and how he was just able to throw up 3 touchdowns like it was nothing, really had me thinking like, damn, this guy can be a guy that could be a generational quarterback for years to come if he goes out and puts the work in to be that quarterback. Who knows if he's going to be that guy in the next level, but these two quarterbacks have always been at the top of a lot of people's list, has been on top of my list as well. But I'm starting to come around to a different idea where the Raiders just go out and build around the quarterback position, whether we go and get a Ashton Jeanty, whether we get a Tetairoa McMillan if he's available, whether we go and get some of the best defensive players in the draft, whether it's Will Johnson, Mason Graham, Abdul Carter, whoever it may be at that 6th, 7th, 8th position. Or if we just roll the dice and get a quarterback later on in the draft, if we move back or move up in the draft, I feel like the Raiders can make that right decision. It just depends on where we land. And at the end of the day, I just want to win the rest of the games because at this point, we won 2 games in a row. We might as well win that last game against the LA Chargers. Say, fuck it, go win. Wherever we land, let's go get the best player available and start building. And then we just handle the rest of everything during the offseason and then free agency. But with all that being said, I know I'm kind of yapping right now, and I know I'm not in my office right now. I actually just finished shooting a podcast with my host, Mr. Fitz, for the Ninth Island Podcast. So if you guys have not subscribed to that channel already, man, go and subscribe to the Ninth Island Podcast. We got a lot of great guests that's going to be joining us for the 3rd season of the podcast. So I definitely am excited for with that, I want to get your guys' thoughts on this game as well. How do you guys feel about this? How do you feel about the future of the Raiders? Do you want the Raiders to at least lose the last game, or do you guys want the Raiders just to win out and just go with our heads held up high and just see where we land in the draft and get whoever we can get? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Until the next one, this is your boy Samoa Raider and your boys. Yeah.